So the next thing that we're gonna look at is doing a little bit of shading. The three things that you're gonna need are gonna be the number 2 pencil, the sharpenable one. We will take a look at that white charcoal pencil, but not for a few days into this overall. So you need the sharpenable number 2, this 6-box shading practice, and then the drawing vocabulary packet. The first of those that we're going to take a look at is the 6-box shading practice. So I'm going to put my name in the top left. And then I'm going to number these boxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do a little number just outside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now the first that I want us to warm up with is going to be taking a look at this box number 1. We're going to try to recreate this, and by this I'm just talking about the shading going from dark to medium to light within this space. I'm not going to give any instruction on how to shade this just because I want you to put to test what you already know about doing a little bit of shading. And remember, we did a lot of that with that Picasso 9 box. All right, looking at the drawing vocabulary packet, starting at the very, very top. Number 1, blind contour drawing. A contour line drawing made by looking only at the subject and not at the paper. Number 2, contour drawing. A continuous line drawing of the outside and inside edges of a subject. Now, those first two we're not going to look at right away. We will look at those here in a little bit, but I'm more concerned with 3 through 7. So number 3, contrast, and this is a big one. The difference between the light and dark values in a composition, making objects stand out. Now, if you flip over to the back side, you see this sample still life. There is a lot of contrast developed within this. We've got very, very light edges in areas of objects, and those are overlapped or underlapped by a contrasting dark value. So it's not the outline of the object being black or dark, it's that high contrast that shows where one object ends and another object begins. Number 4, medium, the material used. We are using pencil as our medium for this. Number 5, proportion, the accurate relationship of the parts of a drawing. On the inside of this cube and this cylinder, this is where we're going to learn how to accurately recreate certain proportions. Number 6, shading, gradual change in values from light to medium to dark, creating a 3D effect, and then value, a range of tones, light to medium to dark. So we've done a little bit with value, we've done a little bit with shading, referencing the Picasso 9 box. So now we're actually going to put some of that to use using just a pencil. A, complete these value charts. 1, using only the end of your pencil, shade a smooth light value in the very first box. Do not smudge. So in this very first box, using my pencil without smudging, because we don't want to smudge or smear when we're shading, I'm going to use just the tip of this pencil, going horizontally first, shading it in as lightly but as still visibly as I can get it. Okay, number 2. Next, shade the dark value in the last box. Dark value is always pretty easy, especially if you're using just a pencil, but what you want to avoid is building up kind of a silvery shine on the surface. So when you shade this box, we're going to shade it the exact same way that we shaded the light value, but we're going to layer to build in that darker value. So my first time through this box, I'm going to use maybe medium pressure, nothing too heavy, nothing too dark. And I'll shade the entire thing in first. And no, this is not the dark that it will be. Like I said, we're going to layer this. So I'm going horizontally still. Medium, filling in the whole space, edge to edge, corner to corner. Now I'm going to go vertically, or make it easy on yourself and rotate your paper. I'm going to add that same amount of pressure, go over the top of this, layer number 2, and then once I've got that second layer in, the third is going to be where I really start to increase that pressure. That way I'm building in that nice, deep, dark value. So good, heavy-handed pressure, horizontally. If you need to clean up some of the scratchy looking lines, then rotate your pencil or rotate your paper and go back the opposite direction to help blend and smooth some of that detail out. Nice and clean. Okay, number 2 is done. Now number 3, shade the middle value box. It should look halfway between your lightest and your darkest values. So I'm shooting for halfway in between the left box and the far right box. Medium amount of pressure, maybe a little less than medium. Edge to edge, corner to corner, really filling that space, but going horizontally again. Now I'm going to rotate, keeping the same amount of pressure. Because I don't want to get too overly heavy with this. Because again, like the instructions say, it should look halfway in between your lightest and your darkest box. Okay, now I'm going to clean some of this up. And if you go outside of those lines, it's not the end of the world. Just use your eraser, go back, do some touch up. Okay, for now, I think it looks fairly equidistant, meaning, light to medium seems just about the same as medium to dark in terms of their value. So I'm not going to do any altering to this yet. So number 3 is done. Now, number 4, shade a medium light and a medium dark value. This, after I get done shading these, if I feel like my medium is a little too dark or if it's a little too light, then I can go back and tweak those. So I like working a little on the heavier side first. So I'm going to do my medium dark value box. And I'm trying to get somewhere gradually in between the value that I've got for my medium and the value that I've got for my dark box. Somewhere in between. So I get one good layer in first, and then I like to, as I've done previously, rotate my paper, make it easier on my wrist. All right, so I'm a little darker than this, but I'm still not quite dark enough to have it closer to that dark value. So I am going to go back in. I am going to add one more layer to this. Darkening it up gradually, but not so much that it's as dark or darker than my dark value box. All right. Erase, clean some of that up, and now my medium light. So a good medium to medium light pressure. I'm going to try to match my lightest value box first, and then I will up my pressure just a little bit. All right, so when I'm looking at it, I've got my light, medium light, medium dark, and dark. And I think gradually the change in them looks pretty good. Although, looking at my medium dark to my dark value, I don't feel like my dark value box is quite deep enough. So I am gonna go back through, darken this just a little bit by adding one more layer of shading to it. Just to help show that there's a subtle but visible difference between the dark and the medium dark. All right, now I think that looks pretty good. Okay, crossing that off. Number 5. In this space, draw each of these light values again, but blend them together using only your pencil point. Do not smudge. So you never want to use a fingertip to smudge. When you shade, yeah, you'll get some on your palm, and sometimes that will smear what you've already got, but an unintentional smudge is much different than one that is intentional. So I'm gonna recreate what I have here with the exception of the vertical dividing lines. So instead of it looking like light value, stop, medium value, stop, medium dark, dark, they're all gonna blend together from left to right. Start at whichever end you feel more confident and you feel more comfortable with. If that's starting at the light end and working your way darker, that's fine. If it's starting at the dark end and working your way lighter, do what's more comfortable for you.